So, if you're familiar with the movie Wolf of Wall Street, which if you follow this page or, if you're just a normal guy and got a really good taste, you're very familiar with the movie Wolf of Wall Street, one of the greatest sales movies or just greatest movies in general in the world. In that movie, there is a very, very amazing term that everybody talks about, but no one actually tells you how you are going to make it happen, right? You either have people telling you how to make it happen or how you're going to do it so that they can sell you a course, or you just have people that say they want to make fuck you money, but have no idea how to, have no idea what fuck you money is, or have no idea exactly the processes that you need to take in order to make fuck you money. Now, truthfully, as a 20-year-old making 17K plus per month, over 100 grand a year, for someone in my age right now who got fired from their corporate degree apprenticeship, like about a year and a half, 2 years ago, that's been able to, build my dream life, live out here, I know a little bit about fuck you money. And another reason why I'm able to understand about how to make fuck you money is I'm friends with 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs that build some of the craziest businesses, that run some of the craziest personal brands that you'll ever see. And upon learning with them, across studying them, I've been able to understand and I've been able to really narrow down the 3 main things that you need to develop, the 3 main skills that you need to develop in order for you to be able to make 2026 the way you make fuck you money. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through each step by step what it is that you need to learn, the 3 things. I'm going to make it super simple. And I'm actually going to give you actionables on how you are going to be able to make it happen, just so that it's not a dream and it's actually something that you achieve, all right? So point number 1, how you are going to make fuck you money. The first thing that you need to learn, and I genuinely think the most important skill on this list, and that's why I've put it first. And, it's probably not going to surprise you what I'm about to say. Even though this might sound biased because, sales is what's got me to this point. Sales is what basically runs the world, and sales is what's allowed me to become a 6-figure business owner. The first skill that you need to learn in order to be able to make fuck you money is selling. Sales and selling are literally the most important things, and it's literally the thing that is going to make you the money. Because why? In order to be able to make money, you need to sell something, or you need to exchange something. You need to exchange value. You need to exchange a service. You need to exchange a product. It doesn't even have to be yours. It can be for someone else. But you need to exchange something, okay? And the way you are going to be able to do that very effectively, and the way you are going to be able to make that fuck you money, is by being able to get a really good understanding of sales techniques, okay? The buying process, okay? How humans make decisions, psychology. All of these things are under sales, okay? Because truthfully, right now, sales is probably the longest hustle and the longest thing that has been around since the beginning of time. And sales is something that you do subconsciously without even realizing it. If you want to get a girl right now, when you speak to her, guess what? You're kind of selling yourself to her, right? You're selling her on the idea of why you'd be a good partner. You're selling her on the idea of, why you'd be a good person to be with and have kids with. Okay, say if you want to get a job, you are selling yourself. You are the product, right? You are selling yourself to come and work with them and to come and do a service with them. Meaning that subtly, without you even realizing it or not, every single day that goes past, you are selling. And in order for you to be able to get really good, and in order for you to, be able to succeed in all of those things and do those to a really high level, then guess what? You need to learn the core foundation, which is sales. If you follow my YouTube as well, if you follow my Instagram, you'll see how important sales is. You'll genuinely understand it. I really want you to take this video and understand the core principles and understand that everything that you do on a day-to-day basis, even when you're communicating with people, when you're getting them to like you, guess what? You are selling them on the idea of, you. You're using certain feelings. You're using charisma. Okay, you're making them feel good. You're making them want to make a decision. You're making them want to be around you, and that is all subconscious selling. Okay, so step number 1 is sales. And now, how are you going to get into sales? There's 2 types of learning that you can do. And this applies for not only just this skill, but it applies for every single skill that I'm going to walk you through, right? But I'm going to specifically write it down. I'm going to specifically talk about it in the context of sales. We have procedural learning and we have theoretical learning. We'll use an example of, say if you were doing exams, right? Say if you were doing GCSEs or A-levels, or I don't know what you call them in America or the United States, or wherever you're watching this video from right now. When you do exams, the first thing that you did is theoretical learning. You were learning from the textbooks. You were learning from the class. You were learning from everything all of the information that you were being given, okay? But in order to then take this information and actually go into the exams, and in order to actually succeed, you couldn't just read through a notebook and ace an exam. Okay, you'd get a really low mark. Why? Because you were just learning it theoretically. You never did it procedurally, okay? And procedural learning is what takes you to the next step, and that is by actually doing the thing. Okay, we'll use the example of back when you were in school. When you were doing exams, when you were doing test papers, it's like, in order to succeed, first things first is you'd get the theoretical learning, but then you'd put that into practice. You do the procedural learning, you do exams, you do fake exams, you do questions, okay? You'd practice the thing and you'd actually do it. You'd actually start doing the thing so that you can get it, because guess what? You learn a lot more from doing the actual thing than by doing it. Okay, the reason why professional athletes are way better than normal people is because they've got the theoretical learning, like they understand, all right, cool, this is exactly what I need to do this thing, but then they've also got the procedural learning unlocked, because all they're doing in the gym, they're training, they're lifting weights, okay? You can look at it in any sort of practice, whether you want to be a lawyer. You learn about the law, you learn about the theory, and guess what? You do bar exams. You do exams, so you actually test your knowledge, and you test exactly how you can put this knowledge into use, okay? So the way you're going to do this in sales is, first things first, is you're going to consume all of the sales information that you can. You're going to watch tons of other people's YouTube. You're going to watch my YouTube, because truthfully, I believe that some of my free stuff is better than a lot of people in this online sales space's paid stuff. And I believe you me, I've been through it. Okay, you're going to learn, you're going to become a student, you're going to watch as much YouTube videos on about sales, literally starting from the ground up all the way to the top, okay? There is millions and millions and millions of YouTubes that you could watch on sales. Like you could probably start watching sales content on YouTube, and you wouldn't, by the time, say if you were to watch it every single day until you die, by the time you die, you probably wouldn't finish the sales content, because there's content currently being pushed out. But the number one thing that you need to understand is you need to get a really good grasp of what the actual skill is, okay? You need to get a really good understanding of the concept, the types of selling, the skills that you can use. And this page, this YouTube page, even my Instagram page, is going to be a really good way for you to do that. Once you understand the theoretical learning, you can do that by YouTube if you want to do it for free. If you really want to take it to the next level, you can get a one-to-one mentor. When I'm hiring people, when I'm looking for people to work with, the number one thing I look at too is, okay, have you worked with someone that's a mentor? Do you have someone in your corner that's giving you the actual advice and that's actually trained, right? It's like going to university. Whenever you want to go and get a job, whenever you want to go and work with someone, a big company, they ask, okay, what training have you been through? Your university. It's the exact same. So you want to look into programs. You want to look and buy from credible people. And you want to learn from people that have perfected the skill, that have been able to do it really well, so you can do it as well. That is how you are going to get the theoretical learning. And then once you've got the theoretical learning, guess what? It's time to do the procedural. Now it's time for you to actually put that into play. You're going to put what you've learned into use. You're going to find online sales roles, okay? You're going to find places to practice your sales. You're going to do it with your friends. You're going to do role play, okay? You're going to get really competent to the point where you're practicing every single day, where selling becomes second nature. Truthfully, right now, whenever I'm talking or wherever I'm just on a day-to-day basis, like I sell subconsciously without even realizing it. I'll be able to get my friends to do certain things or to come certain places with me simply down to my sales techniques, okay? So once you're able to really ingrain it, once you're able to really do it, your skill will get under your belt. You'll actually become that person who's really good at sales, and that is how you are going to master pillar number one, which I believe is probably the most important thing into making fuck you money, which is sales. Step number two, communication. All of the greatest leaders, all of the people in the world that have achieved the greatest things, that have made the most money, have all been really good at one thing. And that one thing is communication. You can't get ideas, you can't achieve great things, or you can't put pen to paper, or you can't make great business ideas, or you can't start a great business plan if you're not able to communicate it really well with people. Okay, if you look at great leaders of the past, Napoleon Bonaparte, or even people in today's day and age, like presidents of our country, or presidents of other countries, or people that own really big companies. One thing that they're amazing and one thing they're really good at is communicating their vision, getting their vision and getting other people to follow them. Okay, and the way you do this is by communication, being really good at understanding and being able to explain what is in your mind and being able to put that into the universe. Because the more you're able to put that into the universe, the more the universe will actually create it for you. If you're able to convey to people exactly what it is that you want them to do, how you want them to do it, and they're able to understand it very well, guess what? Communication is literally the most important thing. Like if you could give one person one skill, it would have to, I think it's the most important skill, because you can have all the skills in the world, but if you're not good at communicating, if you've got like a child levels of communication, you're gonna find it really hard to actually make money off of that thing, all right? So communication is the second thing that you need to learn, okay? And now, how are you going to learn communication? It's the exact same as I talked about in sales, okay? First things first is you're gonna go through the procedural learning. And what I really love about sales is how it ties into all of the things I'm about to walk you through, is that you learn communication in sales. Why? Because you're communicating every single day. You're speaking to prospects, okay? You're speaking to clients. You're speaking to people that are interested in your service. And every single day, the more you talk to people, the more you're getting better at articulating yourself, using stuff like verbal cues, your tonality, your uptones, your downtones, okay? Using your face as a communicator, like being able to understand buying signs, non-buying signs, body language. These are all forms of communication that are going to help you in not only just making money and help you know, making fuck you money, but also in getting just anything that you could ever want in life, okay? So the way you're gonna learn is by, again, it all ties into sales, okay? You're gonna get really good at sales. You're gonna get really good at speaking to people because that's what's going to allow you to communicate. You're gonna practice communicating because communicating is one thing and communicating on a camera is one thing. I was the best talker. I could talk for days, but when I first picked up a camera, you can probably go to some of my most recent old YouTube videos, like you can see I couldn't speak for shit. I was terrible. Okay, but guess what I learned? I literally made it a daily objective. I made it an SOP that every single day I'm going to sit in front of the camera and I'm going to record and I'm going to talk. And that is what made me profuse and what's made me efficient, in communication. Communication is the number one thing that you need to master and the number one thing that you need to learn in order to be successful, because that is what's going to take you to the next level. That is what's going to allow you to make fuck you money. Okay, you can learn communication by reading books, watching YouTube content again. The best thing about the society that we're in right now is that anything that you could ever imagine, anything that you could ever want to watch, and everything that you could ever want to learn, we've got things like ChatGPT, we've got things like YouTube. We've got all of these things that allow it so that you can be the world's best whatever you want, but if you put your mind to it. And it's funny because that ties me into the third point, right? And the third point is going to be very different to the first 2 points I spoke about. The third thing that you need to master and the third skill that you need to unlock in order to make fuck you money is discipline. And by discipline, I mean doing the hard work when you don't feel like it, having the mindset, not relying on motivation, relying on discipline, and doing whatever it needs to be done and doing whatever it takes in order to win. Another thing that you'll see in all great successful people that make a load of money, that you'll see in myself, you see in my mentors, you'll see in tons of people online, is that they are really disciplined. They really understand exactly that it's them be them. Okay, in order to get to where they want to get to, there's a certain level of discipline. There are a certain level of nights that you need to work. There are a certain level of days that you need to show up day in and day out in order to get exactly what it is that you want to get. There are a certain level of hours and there's a certain level of output that you need to do so you can build something special. You can't build something special without discipline, because if you're not relying on discipline, you're relying on motivation, and motivation is fleeting. You're relying on your emotions, okay? And the number one way to not achieve anything in life is by being emotional. You can't rely on your emotions. You have to rely on what needs to be done. And that's why the best thing that I've ever been able to do in order to begin discipline, and this is truthfully the number one thing that you need to do and the number one action step that you need to do, is writing and making non-negotiables. Every single day before I go to sleep, I write daily objectives that I need to achieve. And if I don't achieve those things the next day, I'm not allowed to go to sleep. Over the past 2 years, there's barely been any days that I've missed this. And that's what's made me to the man I am. If I put on my daily objectives, I need to record 3 pieces of content and it's 2 a.m. I'm recording those 3 pieces of content. I don't care. If I write that I need to do something, I need to learn something, and I promise myself, I can't fail those promises, because if you fail those promises, you're building negative aura. You're building negative data points, and your brain starts to associate you with an undisciplined person that doesn't achieve greatness. And your brain can either be your biggest friend or your biggest enemy when you want to achieve greatness. So the number one thing that you need to understand is you need to be disciplined. You need to have a goal. You need to have something that you're laser focused on, whether that's learning sales, that's learning how to make money online with the skills that I've just walked you through, and then being able and being disciplined enough to execute on those things every single day, regardless of your emotions. Discipline, truthfully, is what will take you to the next level. And discipline is what I've learned in sales. When you're in sales, you're getting told no. You're getting told to fuck off sometimes. Sometimes you're winning big, sometimes you're winning low. Your income is directly correlated to the amount of work that you put in. That means if you don't work hard, guess what? You don't make money. But if you work hard and you build the skill, you'll make an insane amount of money. That's how I made 17K last month. That's how some of my students make 10K a month. It's by discipline. Being disciplined to follow the plan. Stick to the plan, not your emotions. Being disciplined to say no. Being disciplined not to go out to those parties. Being disciplined and making sure that you stick to those non-negotiables and you stick to those commitments you make to yourself personally. Truthfully, in life, discipline will take you wherever you want to get to. Discipline mixed with a skill like sales and communication, those are the only 3 things that you need to grasp in order to make fuck you money. If you're able to get those 3 things down, you're able to watch my page, you're able to do the things like the daily objectives, okay? You're able to set a goal, get really clear on the goal, get really clear on what it is that you need to do to get to that goal, write it down and follow that every single day. It will be impossible for you not to achieve greatness. So those are the three things. I'm going to leave it at that, okay? Super simple, super easy. I've not explained any complicated maths or any complicated technique. It's just three things that you need to understand, three things that you need to learn, and I promise you, you will be able to make fuck you money in 2026. Take care.